What's up? I'm Maya. Okay, so my school was this ancient, brick building with a million rules. During lockdown drills, we had specific spots. My chem lab spot was in the storage room in the back, this tiny closet full of glass beakers and chemical smells. When the real lockdown got called, that's where we went. Me, my lab partner Raj, and about 15 other kids crammed in like sardines. Mrs. Kellerman pulled the heavy door shut. It was pitch black and smelled like ammonia and dust. For the first hour, we got updates. Principal said there was an active threat in the building. Then the power went out. The updates stopped. Our phones had no service down there. We were in a black hole. That's when we heard the new rule over the principal's walkie-talkie. She had an old-school one. Her voice was a frantic whisper. New protocol. They are imitating voices. Do not open the door for anyone, even if you recognize the voice. Even for me. The only all clear is 3 knocks, then 2, then 3 again. Repeat 3 to 3. We sat in the dark, repeating the knock pattern in our heads. 3 2 3. Then, the voices started. First, it was a freshman girl, sobbing. Please! Let me in! He's coming! Her fists pounded on the storage room door. A kid next to me jerked forward, but Raj grabbed him. It's a trick, Raj whispered. The sobbing turned to angry scratches, then faded away. Later, it was a teacher, Mr. Briggs. Students? This is Mr. Briggs. The threat is neutralized. You can come out now. He sounded so calm, so normal. Mrs. Kellerman put a hand over her own mouth to keep from answering. The worst was when it was our friend Casey. We knew her voice better than anyone. Maya? Raj? Guys, it's me. I'm hurt. Please, it's really me. I'm so scared. She sounded exactly right. The exact way she'd say, I'm so scared. Tears were streaming down my face in the dark. It took everything in me not to scream Casey, we're here. But we stayed silent. The knocking came then. Bang bang bang, bang bang, bang bang bang. 3 knocks. Then 2. Then 3. My heart leapt. The all clear. Mrs. Kellerman let out a shaky breath and reached for the door latch. But Raj froze. Wait, he breathed, barely audible. He said 3 knocks, then 2, then 3. He was right. The pattern we just heard was 3, a pause, then 2 sets of 3. 3 3 to 3. It was close, but it was wrong. It was mimicking the all clear, but getting it subtly wrong. We didn't move. The thing outside the door went quiet. Then, in Casey's perfect, pained voice, it whispered, full of venomous disappointment. You're learning. We didn't make a sound for 6 more hours. When the real rescue people came, with their 3 to 3 knock, we were almost too scared to answer. They found us curled up, frozen. They told us the power outage had been caused by something chewing through the main cables in the basement. They never found a person with a gun. They just found strange, wet footprints leading from the basement to the hallway outside our closet door, and then stopping. To this day we don't know what really happened. Hey, I'm Sam. My school was on edge because of threats made online, so when the lockdown alarm screamed during 5th period, we all thought this is it. But I was in study hall with a substitute, Mr. Ellis. He was young, new. When the alarm went off, he just smiled. Not a reassuring smile. A weird, calm one. Right on time, he said quietly. Okay, everyone. New rules. We are not following the school's protocol. Everyone just stared. He walked to the door and didn't lock it. Instead, he took a small, silver padlock from his backpack and clicked it through the hasp from the inside. He was locking us in with him. Get away from the doors and windows. Sit in the middle of the room. Form a circle. He had this authority that made us obey, even though every instinct was screaming. We sat. He pulled down all the blinds, plunging us into semi-darkness lit only by the emergency exit sign. Now, he said, sitting cross-legged with us. You will hear things outside. You will hear screams. You will hear someone, Maybe Principal Hayes, begging you to open the door. You will not. You will only listen to me. Do you understand? We nodded, terrified. Then, the noises started. They were exactly as he described. Running footsteps. A blood-curdling scream from the courtyard. A few minutes later, Principal Hayes' voice, trembling over the intercom. Please, if anyone can hear me, help. A girl in the circle started crying. Mr. Ellis just looked at her. It's not him. I promise you. The strangest part was the banging. It started on our classroom door. A frantic, desperate pounding. Let me in! Please, for the love of God, he's behind me! A man yelled. Mr. Ellis didn't even flinch. He looked at the door and said calmly but firmly, You are not welcome here. The banging stopped instantly. Like a switch was flipped. He looked back at us. They are mimics. They hunt by sound and fear. Our silence, our stillness, is our safety. The school's protocol, hiding in corners, barricading doors, it tells them exactly where you are. It makes you pray. We sat for what felt like days. He never let us sleep. If someone started to doze, he'd nudge them awake. You need to be present, he'd whisper. You need to know you're safe. When the National Guard finally breached the main door and the real all-clear sounded, they found our classroom easily. The silver lock on the outside gave it away. They had to cut it. When they flooded in with flashlights, they found us, pale, trembling, but alive. Mr. Ellis simply stood up, gathered his bag, and gave us one last nod. They never found the active shooter. They never found any bodies either. Just a few teachers and students, locked in various rooms, all in states of sheer terror. The official report called it a mass panic event spurred by a malicious hoax. But as the soldiers led us out, I saw one of them talking to a detective, pointing at the floor outside our room. I looked. There, in the dust, were dozens of bare footprints. Small, like a child's. But pressed so deeply into the linoleum it looked like they'd been etched there by a tremendous weight. They circled our door again and again, a frenzied path that never found a way in. I never saw Mr. Ellis again. The schools said they had no record of a substitute by that name ever being hired. Hey. I'm Kayla. This happened last semester, during a lockdown that started at 2:17 p.m. on a Tuesday. They never told us why. But by the end we knew. Our biology lab was bright, full of sun. When the lockdown alarm screamed, we did what we were trained to do. Lights off. Door locked. We huddled in the dark corner. The silence after the alarm was worse than the noise. That's when we heard the first sound from the hall. A slow, dry scraping. Like something heavy being dragged past our door. It faded away. Then the intercom crackled. A flat, automated voice, the one from the morning announcements, said, Lockdown protocol active. Commencing attendance. We all looked at each other. Attendance? The voice called the first name. Leo Mendoza. My friend Leo flinched. He'd been marked absent that morning. How did it know? The intercom static hissed, and the voice said, Present. That's when we heard the new sound. Not from the hall. From inside the wall right behind us. A soft, wet shuffling, moving through the pipes inside the wall. It traveled across the room and stopped. The intercom spoke again. Kayla Reed. That's me. My blood went cold. The voice said, Present. And this time, the response didn't just come from the speaker. It was whispered back from the air vent above the teacher's desk. A faint, echoing whisper. Present. One by one, the automated voice called every student's name in our class. And after each one, the response came from a different place inside the room. A whisper from a closet. A muffled voice from under a desk. A wet gurgle from the sink drain. With every present, the room got colder. The air got thicker. We could feel them crowding in, these invisible presences answering roll call, claiming spaces in the dark with us. The voice called the final name. Ms. Anya Amara. Our teacher stared at the intercom, horrified. The automated voice declared, Present. And then Ms. Amara's own voice, but wrong, choked and watery, came from the large, sealed jar at the front of the room, the one holding the biological specimen preserved in formaldehyde. Her voice bubbled out. I'm here. The jar wasn't empty anymore. A pale, shapeless mass pressed against the glass from the inside. The intercom issued its final command. Attendance confirmed. All present and accounted for. You may now proceed with your lesson. The door lock clicked open. But none of us moved. Because we weren't alone in the dark anymore. We were sharing the room. And the lesson was just beginning.